There are many places in the world that feel different, like something is just unsettling there. Places where nothing seems wrong at first glance, but something feels off. Kansas, on the surface, doesn't seem like it would be one of those places. It's known for wide open land, endless sky, quiet roads stretching for miles. But sometimes it's the quiet that raises questions, because when everything is still and there's no noise, no movement, no distractions, you may just start to notice things you normally wouldn't. I am your host, Hatter, along with my co-hosts,
Scoop and Cass.
and welcome to Investigation. Before we go any further, just as a quick recap of what we covered in last episode, we had the Sally House, where some crazy paranormal events had taken place, the Stall Cemetery, which is majorly known for the devil appearing twice a year, but more so the uneasiness people feel near it, and the Brown Grand Theater, which I also noticed, now that I'm thinking about it, I kept calling it a hotel. For some reason, I kept saying the Brown Grand Hotel.
I don't remember you doing that. No, I don't remember you doing that either. I always heard the theater, because remember, that's when I did the
Right.
whole British theater.
The first couple times I did say the theater, but then when I would reference it later, I kept saying the hotel. I meant the theater.
Oh.
But anyways, so those three locations make up the main points of the triangle. And just because later I get into it, Stull is technically an unincorporated town, and it sits right next to Lawrence, Kansas. So later I might reference as one of the main points being Lawrence, but it's just kind of that general point down there. Then I took you guys underneath the Kansas Triangle, wrapping it up with talking about the possibilities for how a paranormal phenomenon like the Kansas Triangle could exist, like the geographical anomaly that I talked about. Which, if you haven't listened to it yet, go listen to it, because the rest of what I'm going to talk about will make a lot more sense. But now we actually get to go inside of the triangle. So to start, I am going to clarify, I'm going to be moving through several locations, so I'm not going to sit there and give a full breakdown of their history and how we got there. Just mostly talking about a little bit of the location and then the paranormal activity that's surrounding it. Kansas has, like we talked about in the last episode as well, faced a lot of bloodshed and conflict in its developmental years. And that kind of sustained emotional environment with the fear, anger, and uncertainty doesn't always just disappear, at least not according to some theories. Environmental psychologists and researchers studying place memory have suggested that repeated emotional intensity may influence how humans later perceive a location. So it's not ghosts or spirits, there's no kind of entity, it's kind of like a psychological imprint that can be felt when humans enter an area that was charged with high emotions. And this will kind of circle back a few times, which is why I'm making a note of it now. Going back to Atchison, Atchison sits on the Missouri River, and it was founded in 1854, making it one of the oldest continuously inhabited towns in the region. So you can already imagine the kind of history that is built over 170 plus years. But Atchison itself is labeled by many as one of the most haunted towns in Kansas.
Uh-huh.
We already talked about the Sally House, which still frequently gets paranormal investigators who face the feeling of being watched, sometimes touched, there's unexplainable noises, and more. And we talked about the McIntyre or McIntyre Villa. I saw both on Google once again, so don't yell at me. Where 9 deaths have been confirmed, and people also experience scratches, footsteps, and seeing figures when no one is there. Now, just a few blocks away is the Trinity Episcopal Church. This was built in 1861, and it is still an active place of worship, which is important because that means that a lot of the reports come from staff and parishioners or visitors to the church, and not paranormal investigators. Now, these reports often include shadow figures, especially standing near or behind the altar, lots of movement out of the corner of your eye, the feeling of being watched, footsteps, and more. Visitors specifically have reported shadow figures near the altar just standing still, as if observing them. It is also important to note that this church is only 50 miles away from the Stall Cemetery.
Ah.
Yeah, so we're in very close quarters here.
Yeah.
Very close quarters. There's also the Jackson Park in Atchison, where people hear moaning and screaming throughout the park around midnight. Locals seem to have dubbed this the spirit of Molly. But there's two different stories for her. One being that she was found hanging by her neck from one of the park trees after her prom.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was never determined if it was from her own hand or if her prom date had killed her. The other version of the story is that Molly was a black woman who was hung by a white mob years ago. I assume this would be during the time, like we spoke about in part 1, like Bleeding Kansas era. Now, Atchison Street, which was originally named Ferry Street, is a road that travels down a hill towards the Missouri River. Now, legend states that a woman lost control of her horses as she was moving down the hill and fell into the freezing river where she drowned. People walking by the river or on the river bank often report hearing a woman calling to them from the water to join her in the murky waters.
Ew. That's
Yeah.
not creepy at all.
See, that just almost reminds me of, like, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I don't know. I know you probably have not, but you, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
The episode with, like, the pretty lady with the monster that's trying to seduce Eustace into the water. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember that one.
Yes.
But yeah.
I have seen some from, like, growing up and stuff, but, like, I didn't like the show, so I didn't purposely watch episodes. Sometimes if I was just bored and it came on, I just watched it.
We should do, like, a watch of the show and, like, do, like, a bonus episode or something of us talking about, like, some of our favorite episodes. That'd be fun. But, like, maybe when we get a Patreon.
Yeah.
Do it as, like, a Patreon bonus episode.
Ooh, yeah,
That'd be
that's fun.
That's not to throw a little, I don't know, like, borderline ad for ourselves, I guess, in the middle of an episode. But if we reach 500 monthly listeners, we are going to release a Patreon, which would include a lot of perks for you guys. So if you enjoy our podcast and you know somebody who also might enjoy it and you share it with them, then we reach that listener goal and then you guys also benefit from that. So yeah, anyways, back to the triangle. Now, these are just a few of the locations in Atchison alone, but what about the rest of the triangle? As you head west and the houses begin to get few and far between, you will reach the Hollenberg Pony Express station. This was once a critical relay point along the Pony Express route, and it was a place of constant motion, urgency, and isolation. Riders came and went, and messages were passed through. Remember how I spoke of place memory?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems like the energy of this place has never left. Witnesses have described hearing boots crossing the wooden floors, heavy footsteps moving from one room to another, doors creak open and then will close again, even when there's no wind outside. And more than once, someone has seen a figure standing out the window, looking out into the darkness, only to realize that nobody else is in the building. If you move south, the road narrows as you approach what is called the Demon Bridge.
Demon Bridge.
There is no known reason it has that nickname.
No, they just named it
just cause.
Demon Bridge.
Just cause.
Just for the fun of it, guys.
Well, it might be because visitors report feeling watched or being followed. They'll hear unexplained movement beneath the bridge, and many report seeing a dark figure standing behind them after they cross the bridge, and even in some cases that they feel someone push at their back as they cross, as if encouraging them to go. Now, back east, just 14 miles from Stall, is the Oak Hill Cemetery, where visitors walking through the cemetery at dusk have reported seeing figures moving between the headstones, not usually like full body apparitions, more like silhouettes moving across. occasionally names are heard being whispered, names that when checked later match the markers nearby.
Ew. Spooky.
Now, like I said, Stull is located next to Lawrence. And in Lawrence, you will find the Eldridge Hotel. Colonel Shaler Eldridge rebuilt the Eldridge Hotel twice. The original Free State Hotel was attacked and burned in 1856, rebuilt and then burned to the ground again in 1863. Colonel Eldridge himself has been noted as still being in the hotel since his death. The 5th floor is said to contain a portal to the spirit world, especially in room 506, where the original cornerstones to the building reside. In this room, witnesses have reported breath marks on recently cleaned mirrors, doors opening and shutting on their own, and lights turning on and off by themselves.
That thing's been going off just sporadically, like up to the red even, so...
Spooky ghost pod? No. We're doing a spooky ghost pod. Our spooky ghost friend in the pod room.
Here we go.
Many report cold spots throughout the hotel, apparitions on the 5th floor, technical difficulties with their cameras near the elevator, and the elevator doors will open and shut on their own frequently. Yeah. Also in Lawrence is the Merchants Pub and Plate, which was initially built as Merchants National Bank in 1872, later turned into a restaurant. But here, staff and diners have reported that the staircase in the restaurant has a feeling of a presence, like someone is watching you. If you don't notice already, that seems to be a pretty common theme.
Does you know what I say? I think I see a pattern.
Yes. And some report seeing an apparition on the steps. There's also the Pioneer Cemetery. Many of the people killed during Bleeding Kansas were actually buried here. And in Quantrill's raid of 1863, where Quantrill and his guerrillas rode into Lawrence and burned much of the town, killing around 200 men and boys.
Whoa.
Yeah. This cemetery had actually received around 70 of those that were killed during the raid to be buried. People often see apparitions and ghostly figures, as well as hear cries from infants here.
Ew. I don't like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, we circle back to the crying thing. If we move only 9 miles up from Stull, we'll reach Lecompton. Now, Lecompton has deep roots that took hold during Bleeding Kansas era, and it sat at the center of political and physical conflict. Today, people report hearing phantom gunshots when the streets are empty. They will see figures in what they assume is like a period clothing. And those figures will either be just like standing in windows or along the roads. These hauntings specifically do seem more residual, kind of like an imprint of Lecompton's trauma at the location, like we talked about, that place memory.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, some people do report the feeling of being watched often in the area.
So everyone in Kansas has a stalker.
Yes, has a ghostly stalker.
And people wonder why I don't want to move there. Not really, no. I mainly don't want to move there because it's hot.
After reading stuff about Kansas, I don't want to. I met somebody yesterday. No, day before Friday, who was moving to Kansas.
Oh,
and so his girlfriend or his wife is somewhere, and then he's in Indiana, and they're both packing up and moving to Kansas. And I was like, I do a podcast, and I'm reading about Kansas, and that's a choice. Like,
that's a choice.
It's freaky out there. Why are you moving to Kansas?
Right.
And so it's like, there's some whack-ass shit in Kansas, and he's like, yeah, there's a lot of cryptids out there.
Oh my gosh, dude, why? And it's like, and it's as if that's not bad enough. You get all the tornadoes too.
Yeah, it's...
Ugh.
If you're from Kansas, why? No, I'm kidding. I'm totally joking. Now, here's where we get back to the crying infants.
Oh, no.
There are several locations across Kansas that have been dubbed the Crybaby Bridge.
No.
The crybaby
The
bridge?
Crybaby Bridge, because at night, people will hear the sound of a baby crying, sometimes from the water below, sometimes from the road behind them.
Ew.
And occasionally, a very brief apparition will appear near the guardrail. Now, here, people have actually genuinely recorded the sound of babies crying with no baby to be found.
Oh, that's...
I don't. Okay, you don't think babies are very creepy usually, but like in the term like that,
in the
that's
scenario of this.
yes, in this scenario, it's like the most creepiest thing I think you'll ever hear in any haunting.
I said it once, I'll say it again. Ghost children are fucking creepy. They just are. Like, children are creepy in and of itself. Like, real children. they can they can be creepy.
They can be. They can be real terrors. Like they give you a run for your money.
No, I'm saying like when kids come up and they're like, I'm so glad you're my mom in this life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That reminds me of something I did when I was a child.
What did you do?
Have I not ever told you guys about this?
I don't think so.
So,
Do tell.
I personally don't remember this, but my parents do. I was like a teeny tiny little tot. My mom's putting me to bed. She puts me in bed. I'm looking behind her. I'm looking over her shoulder. And I look at her and I say, Mommy, angel behind you.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember this story.
Now you remember this story?
I do.
That's all you said?
That is all I said was, Mommy, angel behind you.
Ooh, I got, like, chills. Blech.
Yes.
Yeah.
My parents get chills when we talk about this.
That's, I don't think I've talked about this, at least on the podcast before, but I'm sure you guys probably know this story. When I was a kid, I would talk about this lady that would visit me at night. And my mom was like, oh, you're like 4, you're probably dreaming, whatever. And so later we went down to my dad's mom's, and she was pulling out pictures, and she's like, I had a dream that Julia came up to me, which is like her grandmother or something like that, came up to me and said how much she enjoyed having kids in the house. And my little 4-year-old ass walked up to the picture and was like, Mommy, that's the lady that visits me at night.
No.
Yeah, I remember you telling me all those
Yeah.
stories, yeah.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Crawl up your spine, right?
No.
No.
Sending shivers up your spine.
Send
I don't know why I
shivers
keep saying
down
crawling.
Down my
your
spine. You'll get it one of these
one
times.
day.
I had gotten it last time. It's just
No,
I don't
last
know
time
why
you
my-
also said up my spine, and then you were like, oh, it's so close.
Oh, right. Yeah. See, I got so close last time, but then my brain all of a sudden just wants to keep saying crawling.
It's okay. Now, something that does send some shivers up my spine or down my spine is the mirror phenomenon.
Phenomena.
Phenomena.
Do, 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 do. Now, these are just regular mirrors. They're not like broken or ritual mirrors or anything like that. And people will report seeing things in the reflections that aren't there in real life. Which Hotel Josephine will be the first stop on our list for this phenomenon. The hotel was built in the late 1800s, and it still contains original architectural elements, including like large antique mirrors. It is important to note 2 things. 1, that older materials, especially glass, can behave differently under certain lighting conditions. And 2, the human brain processes reflections slightly different than direct visual input. There is a tiny, like, millisecond delay, but enough to create subtle mismatches that, combined with the low light and being tired, could explain some of the visual differences people report seeing inside of these mirrors. There's also the concept of pareidolia, where a human brain will see a pattern, typically a face, where there isn't one. But the problem with those possible analogies is that the stories would have a lot more variation to them. And these reports are consistent across different individuals who are not even connected to each other. At Hotel Josephine, one guest described it as, quote, I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw someone standing in the mirror across the room. Not in the room, just in the reflection. And another guest stated that something in the mirror moved closer. Not closer to the mirror or closer in the room to them, but it moved closer in the mirror like somebody would move closer to a window.
Ew.
Ugh.
Yeah. Reports like these tend to cluster around specific rooms in the hotel, not the entire building, which also discredits the old glass changing the reflection theory, because all of the rooms have old glass. So if it was happening in all of the rooms, you could give a little more credit to that theory, because all of the rooms have the same type of mirrors, but it doesn't. It just happens in some of them. On top of the hotel being part of this mirror phenomenon, the mirror phenomenon is also widespread through Atchison. There are a ton of reports of people seeing something in the mirror, or that something wasn't reflecting reality correctly in the mirror. One person stated it as, quote, I looked in the mirror and saw myself, but I wasn't moving, and it smiled before I did, end quote. Which also chills.
Gross.
Yeah. Now, this also won't just affect the mirror in your home. Many drivers report seeing something in their rearview mirror. The Amelia Earhart Bridge especially, people report driving over it and either feeling like someone was in the car with them or catching a glimpse of an apparition in their backseat through their rearview mirror.
That's not creepy at all.
Very.
Yeah. I believe it was like right after I wrote this segment, I had to drive somewhere. I don't even remember where I was driving. And I felt like I couldn't even look in my rearview mirror because I was just like,
You're terrified you were going to see something.
yes, I was like, I'm gonna see somebody back there.
Right.
But as I take you through some of these roads of the Kansas Triangle, it is also important to note that there are other phenomenon like the mirrors, but that aren't tied to just one location. A common experience people have throughout this area is silence. And I mean literal silence. And this silence is actually one of the most consistent reports across the Kansas Triangle. A driver traveling between Atchison and Lawrence described it this way. Quote, it was like someone turned the world off. No bugs, no wind. I actually pulled over because I thought something was wrong with my hearing. End quote. And another said, quote, the silence didn't feel empty, it felt heavy, like something was there. Now, from a scientific standpoint, there are explanations worth considering, like certain environmental conditions, wind direction, humidity, things like that, can dampen sound. But once again, while that could explain some of the reports, these reports have consistency. And you can't tell me that there are always the same natural elements at play every time this is experienced.
Yeah.
Like, that's just unrealistic.
See, my thing is, like, Kansas is already, like, flat.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine going through such a flat area and then all of a sudden hear nothing.
Oh. Yeah, that makes it even creepier.
Yes.
People have actually, like, reported feeling very disoriented, especially in this area. And, like, some of that I'm like, well, it's so flat, I feel like that would be easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other part of me is like, what the fuck is going on in Kansas? You know?
What's going on in Kansas?
What's going on in Kansas? Like, that's weird, especially when you add on top of the fact that, like, there sometimes is just no sound. Which, that alone, once in a while, the other night I actually noted it when I took Lilith outside. It's like I was walking her and I was like, I feel creeped out, and like I felt like I was being watched. And then I noticed that there was no sound.
And that's why.
Yeah.
And I was like, get back in the house, get back in
Right?
the house.
No,
Yeah, I was like, well, because it's like there's a lot of people where it's like, oh, I love silence. Like, like why can't we just have silence all the time? And I'm just like, no, silence is when just the evil comes out.
Yeah, like we're in the Appalachian Mountains. When there's no sound,
there is
Run.
a predator or
There-
something more
just-
sinister.
yep.
there's
get
something
out.
bad.
Get out as
Yes.
soon as it's just silence. Like when there's not even no wildlife
Yeah.
No crickets, but nothing. It's
Yep.
just dead silent. Get the heck out of there.
Yeah, like, and it felt empty is the
Ew.
better way to describe it. Is like it wasn't just like, oh, it's a quiet night. It literally felt like an absence. I was like, oh. Anyways.
Yeah. Yep. I felt that way all the time. Growing up in New York, we lived on a mountain. So anytime we would take our dog out, every night, I hated doing that because, like, there were times where it's like, yeah, the wildlife would be going, the puppy would do their business, and there were multiple times where it just went dead silent, and it got super creepy. I'm like, I ran right back into the house. I didn't care if the dog did their business or not. We went back inside.
That's even worse is when there is noise and then all of the noise stops.
Yes.
Yes. So, with those little stories being said, I do want to also remind you that these aren't the same road. This happens across the triangle, that people are experiencing like things in their rearview mirror, the silence. Some drivers will report something keeping pace with their car as they drive. So like something running alongside of them or just behind them.
Ew.
One driver recounted saying something was running alongside the car, not fully visible but moving fast. And every time I looked in the mirror, it was closer.
That's icky.
That's icky. In the farmland between the triangle's main points, a lot of the locals don't even venture out at night. One local stated, quote, "You don't go into the fields at night, not because of animals, just because it doesn't feel right." And another said, "I've seen things out there, not clearly, but enough to know that something is there."
Reminds me a lot of the Appalachia.
Yeah. Many of these accounts involve movement without form, figures that don't fully appear, a sense of being watched without seeing anything. And what's kind of funny is that many of these witnesses don't frame their experiences as paranormal, they just avoid it. So they're like, I don't know what it is, but I'm not touching it. Yeah.
As you should do.
Yeah.
There are also reports of like animals in nature itself behaving strangely, animals just stopping all sound. There's reports of like lightning without sound, fog that forms quickly but it breaks apart strangely, like something's moving through it. And individually, a lot of these things could be explained away. I mean, anywhere you go, you can find a haunted hotel, a home that has a few spirits inside. But when you map them out and you take a step back and look at the full spread of locations across Kansas, the similarities stack. Like shadow figures in multiple regions, the feeling of being watched, many intelligent hauntings, auditory phenomena. And just in case you still don't believe that something fucking weird is going on in Kansas, I have some real statistics for you guys. Most of these hauntings in the triangle can be traced back to kind of two main peaks. The 1850s to the 1890s is where we would find the primary cluster. This is during like the settlement era, bleeding Kansas, as well as the expansion west. So overall, just a time of high violence and emotional turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
The secondary spike would be considered from the late 1900s to present day. And this spike is more because of the rise of paranormal investigation and documentation. For example, the Sallie House reports began heavily in the 1990s. So it's less really of like a reason for the paranormal and more along the lines of proof that it's happening. Now, Kansas as a whole has dozens of documented haunted locations. But if we look at our triangle, Atchison to Lawrence, like Stall, and then Stall to Concordia, and then Concordia back to Atchison, there is an estimate of roughly 10 to 25 frequently cited haunted sites. And this is a disproportionately high concentration of hauntings to the relatively small region. In Atchison alone, there's over 15 individual haunted properties cited. Now, Atchison has a population of around 10,000, which means that this is roughly one haunted location for every 700 to 1,000 residents. For comparison, West Virginia is considered a highly paranormal state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But like Goofy.
Yeah. There you go. I was trying to think of the character.
But in West Virginia, there's about one key haunted location for every 10,000 people. So once again, in Atchison, there's a haunted location for every 700 to 1,000 residents. There's one key location in West Virginia for the entire population of Atchison. And Atchison has over 15.
That's strange.
That's weird. So already, like I said, Atchison alone is an extremely dense area compared to a normal range. But also, in comparative, our triangle is only a 60-mile cluster.
It's not a huge
not
area.
big.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, I've talked about 15 different locations within these 2 episodes. And that was all around a 60-mile radius.
Wow.
And comparatively to the rest of Kansas, this is an incredibly dense paranormal hotspot. In terms of the type of phenomena across the triangle, 60 to 70% of reports contain visual sightings. These are the reports with things like shadow figures, apparition, and even strange lights. Now, 50 to 60% of the reports contain auditory phenomenon, like the footsteps, voices, crying, and the sound of movement. Hello, spooky ghost.
He just periodically, just when you're talking, just
Yeah,
all the way
just
up to
randomly.
red. Yep.
He's like, I like this story. For our listeners, the EMF reader is still here, and he launched it all the way up to red. When I said that he liked the story, he was like, hell yeah, I do. Now, 15 to 25% of the reports contain some type of physical interactions, like touching, scratches, or even objects moving on their own. Obviously, before anybody gets on my case about the math not adding up, there's overlap with the percentages because some reports contain more than one of these phenomenon. Like they'll contain both visual and auditory or something like that. 70 to 80% of the reports describe repeating patterns from inside of the location, not one-time events. For example, hearing footsteps or seeing apparitions in the same location inside of one of the haunted properties, or having the same visual description for what they are seeing inside one of these properties. So there's like a pattern of people seeing the same thing in the same places, basically. Just a fancy way to say that. Across all of the locations that I have spoken about 60% of the hauntings come from stories and legends surrounding the property, but 40% of them are actual investigated and documented accounts. And when those reports are analyzed, you notice the pattern. Like nearly 70% involving visual sightings, more than half including auditory experiences. And once again, even within those percentages, you find another type of pattern, like the things people are experiencing. It matches across the board. I mean, there's even stories of people visiting Atchison and nothing really spooky happening, and then they get home and there's things in their mirror.
Yeah.
So it even seems to
linger.
Yeah, outstretch a little bit even further. So what do you guys think? Do you think I'm crazy? Or did...
Well, I mean, you are.
Oh.
We all are.
Bam!
I couldn't think of a way to say that. It was gonna be
I
like a
wasn't sure where that
lighthearted
was
joke.
going.
No! I was trying to make it a lighthearted joke thing like we do. I just couldn't figure out how to freaking say it.
You're okay.
I think you could be onto something.
Yeah?
There's a chance.
I want to know if there's more, because it's hard when you're just trying to look up haunted locations, because most places will just pop up the most well-known ones.
Yes.
And so it's I want to know more of the niche stories. I did see one, which I didn't include because it is a private location. But basically it was a private farmhouse where people kept seeing apparitions and shadow figures and things like that. And it was also right within this triangle. So it's there's even a lot more. And I'm sure that there's even more just residential homes that people experience things in their home itself. So if you're from Kansas, let us know. Send us an email with maybe your spooky stories at investigatingwithus@gmail.com. Because maybe we'll do fucking part 3 of listener stories or something like that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be real cool.
That would be cute.
See, because like you said, Kansas is one spooky place, and like you said, that one person you knew even knew about it, and they were moving there.
Yeah, they're making the decision to move there.
Right? So it's reach out to us. Tell us your stories. We'll make a part 3.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the Kansas Triangle.
All right. Pretty cool theory.
Pretty cool theory. A little spooky for you.
Mm-hmm.
Our resident ghost seems to agree that it's a legit theory.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Flashed
yeah.
up to red.
If you thought this theory was interesting, share it with your mother.
Every time. Share
Every
with your
time, just
mother.
the way you say it. So funny.
Well, thanks for listening. Don't go too far. We'll catch you in the next investigation. Bye.
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 Atchison sits on the Missouri River, which was founded, like the Missouri River was founded in 1854. Where people hear moaning or
Or
Pa.
like the footsteps. I said the footsteps.
The footsteps.